Hi, this is Darlene Cusanza again for our National Crime Victims' Rights Week, and we're very excited to talk to Angela Bolton about her son's case, Marion Hutson, and just the journey she's been on since that time. So Angela, thank you for being with us today. Tell me about Marion and tell me what happened.
Marion was 21 years old. He had one son. He's a fun, loving, I'm talking about he's just a loving, fun person. Mm-hmm. He was always there for his friends. He was a good guy. He was growing into a man, mm-hmm. and he was really a good guy. And he was killed. He was shot and killed on February the 3rd, 2018, and he died on February 6th, 2018.
And this was out in the East?
It was in the East on Bundy Road. He was shot by two. One of the guys was actually his friend.
Goodness. And I know what we've talked about was, as a mom, a lot of times before you even called. But tell us about, your experience getting that call.
Oh, that call was, the call was, I was in Texas, and when I got the call, I was really in shock. I really didn't have any feelings. I just knew I had to get there. So I was at work. Mm-hmm. I worked from home. Mm-hmm. I immediately texted my supervisor, told him I'm leaving. My son just got shot. I got to get to New Orleans. I swear we made it to New Orleans in 4 hours. I got stopped by the police and everything.
Oh boy!
But I did not stop. I couldn't.
Right.
I couldn't stop. My mind was rambling, and when I got there and I seen him and I talked to the doctor, at first I thought it was hope. I thought it was hope. He said as long as his brain doesn't fill up, he has a chance. And it wasn't 3 hours later. He said, he came to me and told me that his brain filled up with blood and that he wasn't going to make it. And that's when I really lost it.
I'm sure.
I really lost it.
So you're one of the moms. It's special because you actually have had justice in regards to having an arrest in the case and a conviction. Tell us a little bit about that.
Everything I knew, I had that Detective Palooka.
Yes.
He was wonderful. I love Detective Palooka today.
Yeah.
Detective Palooka really was, he gave me a lot of information. I gave him what information I had. My son's phone was very, very valuable information in solving the case. And his girlfriend, she knew who he was going to see, so she was also able to give some insight. Detective Palooka we didn't even know their names.
Right.
We only knew a nickname, one nickname, and it just was so broad of a nickname. It could have been anybody, but with the phone and my daughter, my son's girlfriend, they came. Detective Palooka did not stop until, and he called me, and I was calling him for my son died on February 6th. They didn't make an arrest till March for the first guy. Didn't know who the second guy was. First guy was not talking. So once we made the arrest for the first guy, Detective Palooka called me, and it's ironic because he lived right around the corner from my mother-in-law's house. That's where they got him at. And I was like, Detective Palooka. He said, I said, tell me, who was it? And when he told me the name, I never knew him. But my daughter did, because they went to school together at Bonneville.
Oh, wow.
So my daughter knew who he was. She knew his sister. But we were still trying to figure out who was the second person. Right. All we had was a nickname.
Right.
So Detective Palooka had to dig deep. And I was around asking. I was in the streets. I got in the streets and I started asking. I was asking everybody that my husband knew. I was asking everybody that we came in contact with. Right. We asked about this nickname. But he was young. He was really young. So nobody of our age group knew him. So we were able to, Detective Palooka, through the phone records and other investigations, he found out who it was, and they made that second arrest, and I was so relieved.
My goodness. So, as we've talked to people this week, you're the first that actually has had justice for their family. So I guess, what would be your message to those who are still in that position of not having the information, not knowing what's happening?
Don't stop. Do not stop calling. Do not stop asking. I mean, you might be the one that actually solve your own child's murder. Don't be to where, don't let it be that you don't ask somebody, or you don't follow up with something you heard, or you cannot let their memory die, because you're the only one who's going to be able to really make sure that they get the justice they need. Mothers are resilient, we're tough, we're strong, and we hold true to our kids. So in that respect, you have to hold true to them in death as well. And in bringing them justice, it don't matter who it is. It doesn't matter what it is. Any little thing you find out, don't stop asking. Even though sometimes they say, well, we don't want you to, talk to this person. Talk to somebody. And get some help. Get some counseling. That's a big thing.
You told me something a little bit earlier, and what we've been telling people is, while you're watching these videos, there are people out there trying to help. There are agencies that will offer services, and you've got to keep asking, and mothers who are willing to share their time that's been through this. But you said this is the first time that you've been able to do something like this, and this has been very healing for you.
Yes.
So talk about that feeling.
It took me 5 years to get to this point where I'm sitting here for an interview and I haven't cried. I did cry earlier, but I was a ball of mess for a long time. And it was a process of healing. It was a process of, I went through all the steps of grieving. I was angry. I was sad. I was depressed. I'm still on depression medicine.
Sure.
I was mad at my son for falling for it.
Right.
And then I got mad at the guys who did it. And I got to make that crimes victim speech in court. And one guy, the guy who was my son's friend, I was able to connect with him. I was able to let him know that what he did was wrong, and he didn't have to do that. And you didn't have to you could have been told them who did it. You could have did something to help and get yourself out of the situation. So I can't forgive them. I can't, not yet. I'm not there.
Right.
I'm not there. But I was able to say what I needed to say to them, and I was able to just make my victim's impact statement to me. I wrote it down, but I left the paper at home. So everything I said, I meant it from the heart. I really want to forgive them, and one day I might get there, because you are supposed to forgive. But I'm not there.
Well, I think the point to all of this is that grief takes many stages, and there's no right or wrong way to grieve.
Right.
And give yourself the break to know that it's okay to go back and forth between stages. It's okay to maybe not be at that forgiveness stage yet. It takes a lot to get to that stage. But hearing others going through the same thing, we hope that's going to give you some peace and some comfort. And I do want to close with thanking you for having the courage to be with us today.
Thank you.
She's working on her own nonprofit to help.
Yes.
Just tell quickly what you're trying to do with that.
Well, I'm starting my nonprofit. It's going to be called Marion's Angels, where I want to help families who lose a loved one. I know when I went through that process, I was numb, trying to find the money to bury your loved one. It's so hard, especially when you have children. You might not have them in insurance right now. So I want to start a nonprofit to where I can assist with burying the burial. Although they do have a program in Orleans Parish that will pay you the money back, it doesn't help for the money right now.
Correct.
So I'm going to be trying to do fundraisers and different things to raise money to be able to assist with burying loved ones who are in financial need.
Well, we appreciate that, and if this is something you're interested in, we have so many people asking for help. Reach out to us and we'll try to make that connection. But thank you.
Thank you so much.